Hey everyone! Welcome back to your My Ninja Academy. Today we're going to be going through Naruto's death! If you would like to see more about Naruto on our channel, please leave your thumbs up and subscribe to join our Ninja Academy. One of the most epic and mysterious scenes in the work of Boruto is without a doubt the first pages and frames of its first chapter in the manga, or respectfully, the first minutes of the first episode of the anime. Kawaki vs. Boruto is what seems to be a more adult version of the two characters, probably after a time skip, and an absurd series of events have happened that we can only imagine and theorize with all the information we have so far. In fact, imagining the loss of a character so important for not only Boruto's work, but also for the entire Naruto universe seems impossible, doesn't it? Especially when it comes to the former protagonist of this beloved universe of ours. However, although it seems like something almost impossible as a narrative choice, it still is possible. Yes, as scary as it sounds, Naruto can actually die in Boruto. In today's video, we will discuss the possibilities regarding this topic, and how the paths that will lead us to this very strange and dreaded scene from the beginning, and also the future of Boruto. To begin this discussion, we need to accurately recall the scenes that we are trying to replicate. So let's go back in time, or maybe go into the future, to the moment when Boruto and Kawaki are facing each other. The whole scene takes place over the monument of the Kages, and we have a huge highlight of Naruto's destroyed face in the background, with Kawaki and Boruto staring at each other. One interesting thing to note is that there are traces of a mass destruction taking place, not only where they are, where clearly there was intense combat to the point where everything was destroyed. I also want to point out that since they are both in different positions, we can clearly see that Kawaki seems to have the upper hand in this fight. Although they both look wounded, it is Boruto who is clearly more tired and has probably been hit more, whether it was because he was weaker or because he didn't want to kill him. It is unclear. The fact that Boruto is kneeling, leaning on the ladder, after probably dodging or being hit with a blow, as if they had both bumped into each other and jumped backwards to face each other, as it is in the anime. You've gone too far, Kawaki. I will send you to the same place as the Nanadame Hokage, Boruto. Although Kawaki never said that Naruto was killed by his hands, the words are left open for us to interpret what may have occurred to the Hokage. Boruto doesn't even sketch a reaction to this comment, seeming to ponder Kawaki's motivations for a moment. So much so that he soon replies, after a moment in silence, "It hadn't. How could it not end up like that, right?" And without hesitation, Kawaki forcefully states that the era of the shinobi is over. The scenes gives focus to the absurd destruction that has befallen Konoha. Meanwhile, without hesitation, Boruto picks up his bandana, the supposed old bandana of Sasuke Uchiha, given to Boruto in the tuning exam, which now has an extra scratch that connects with the tear in his right eye, hinting that the shinobi, perhaps in a fit of anger or desperation, tried to get rid of his eye power, and perhaps with a kunai, to no avail, made a grotesque cut that marked his bandana and grew a scar on his face. Even if that's the case, I'm still a ninja, and that's how this little spoiler of Boruto's future ends. Now that we have calmly reviewed this scene, was Naruto really killed by Kawaki? Let's discuss together the possibilities of what may have occurred with the Hokage in order. First possibility: Naruto died at the hands of Kawaki. That is certainly the first thing we think of when we see this scene. Even if Kawaki didn't say it in every word, it's possible that, yes, in order to complete his goal, the young man got rid of Naruto in the process. It's natural to think that this should occur, since despite the strong bond that the Hokage and Kawaki possessed in the past, and all that Naruto did for him, the Nanadame would come to protect Konoha from any danger, even if he had to face his new son. Even though we don't know what Kawaki's goals are in the future, we can deduce that the end of the ninja was part of his plan, and perhaps the destruction of the villages was included. Given this, we can imagine that, in fact, he may not be alone in causing all this destruction, but he may be the one most responsible for the situation. This would naturally lead to a clash between Kawaki and the biggest ninja of the village, such as Sasuke and Naruto. That's another point. The important thing here is, Naruto no longer has Kurima with him. In this way, as pointed out in the chapter in which the Nine Tails is gone, we become aware that the Hokage is no longer as superhuman as before, which would lead him to be easily defeated by other stronger and stronger enemies that keep appearing in the work, especially in the manga. Both Kawaki and Boruto in particular are becoming more and more powerful. Of course, other characters like Sarada and Mitsuki, as well as other characters of the new generation, are likely to be very strong, but perhaps not strong enough to stand alone against the threats of creatures like the Otsutsukis, for example, as well as other villains that are likely to emerge over time. In a recent chapter of the manga, small spoiler, for example, we realize that Boruto is becoming stronger and stronger, not only physically, but mentally, to the point of sacrificing his own self for the greater good. On the other hand, we also realize that Kawaki can also become a cold and logical person when he is determined to accomplish some goal, even if it's to kill with his own hands someone who is important to him. In this case, to protect Naruto. And how would he handle a situation where he needed to face the person he most wanted to protect? Would he be able to kill Naruto for this goal? When it comes to power, we cannot yet say how powerful Kawaki and Boruto will be in the future, but without a doubt, now that Naruto does not have Kurima and Sasuke is without his Rinnegan, the two characters will be able to greatly surpass the former protagonists. Of course, Boruto would never stand by and see that Kawaki would be heading in a bad direction by going against him in a fight, just as stated by them. Impossible not to end that way. In this scenario of a sequence of deaths in the works, we can expect Kawaki to be killed by Boruto as well. At least, that's what we can expect. Second possibility, Naruto is sealed/imprisoned. Here we come to another possible situation, but one that has already occurred a few times in the work. In reality, Naruto has already been imprisoned/sealed, and there was no need for Boruto, Kawaki, and the others to travel between dimensions to save him. Of course, the question of repetition will vary depending on how things are done, since the same style of sealing would not necessarily be used with Naruto. The possibility of them using a new technique and having another character remain as a seal keeper also becomes possible. The use of the Daikoku Tenjutsu could also be part of the sealing possibility. At the same time, we can imagine that it is not necessarily Kawaki himself who seals Naruto, but perhaps another character at Naruto's behest. Imagining that Kawaki becomes the leader of the situation that caused the destruction of Konoha and the beginning of the end of the Age of Ninja, if it's really the end. Third possibility, Naruto is sent to another dimension. Perhaps this is one of the most plausible of the three possibilities we're presenting today, since Naruto's death seems more like a classic little trap to make us think of the flash forward through phases with various interpretations, and also because Naruto's sealing would already be something repeated in the work, although, as we cited before, none of them cease to be real possibilities on that account. It is not from today that we know that several Boruto characters can travel between dimensions. Sasuke, formerly, and Obito were our most classic examples, but we must strongly mention Boruto and Kawaki here. Although, currently, the two of them cannot make these trips through time and space whenever they want, because they need an absurd amount of chakra, which makes them need to share the burden when using this ability. However, if we consider that in about 3 or 4 years, the two may eventually become experienced in the use of karma, it is expected that they will be able to use these abilities with some ease. Of course, sending the Hokage to another dimension might not be the smartest move, since both of them can travel in space. Furthermore, Boruto possesses the move, the Jogen, the eye power that is said to be able to be the hope or destruction of everything. Here, what we can imagine is that either Kawaki has trapped Naruto in a dimension with some seal, or by keeping him in a state of near death, needing some specific power to release him, which would trigger, depending on what powers are revealed from the Jogen throughout the chapters, that only Boruto can save Naruto, as it has been shown a few times in the work that the eye's power has the ability to see chakra and its movements, like the Byakugan, but is also able to see things like portals to other dimensions, which is perhaps just the tip of the iceberg of the abilities that come with using the Jogen. Perhaps this would also justify his more serious and somewhat calm reaction in the flash forward when Kawaki mentions the Nanadame's condition. It would be odd if he didn't, at the very least, get angry when his half-brother mentions his father in such a way, wouldn't it? No wonder Tenari, who had predicted the eventual arrival of the Otsutsukis on Earth, believed that Jogen's powers were what could save everyone from what would occur occur in the future. Perhaps he himself assumed that Boruto would come to deal with karma, not that he would necessarily have it, and could face the users with an extra advantage, although we lack the necessary justifications for the powers and the reason for the existence of this new dojutsu that is said to come from the Otsutsukis. But of course, these are all but a few of the many possibilities for the future of Boruto. And what about you? What do you think about all of this? Do you think Kawaki might actually succeed in killing Naruto? Or was he unable to get rid of his real father figure and just sent him away? Leave your